Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Ahmed, and today we are going to talk about UseReducer Hook, which is one of the most complex hooks on React applications. We will see how it works and why we need it. Yeah. The simplest way to think of UseReducer Hook is to compare it with a useState hook. All of us are familiar with the useState hook. So we use it for managing our state in the React applications. And similarly, we can do also with the UseReducer hook, we can use it to manage state. So both of them are being used to manage state in React applications, but they function a little bit differently. So with the UseReducer hook, so it follows the Redux pattern. So as you see on the right side, we have different syntax to the use state. So we have what something is called dispatch, as you see here. This is something we define we define in our script our actions. We define, for example, add an action, edit an add an item or edit an item, or get items from SharePoint list, for example. And we use a dispatch to call specific action in our reducer. So we define all our actions, then we can call it using the dispatch here. On the right side, as you see, we have also two parameters. We have the reducer and the initial state. The reducer, it's a function. It's already defined in our application, which takes two arguments. So the first one is the current state, which we have it. And the second argument, it will be the action which we pass along with a state. So let's say, for example, I want to increment my age, for example, here. This current state will be passed along with a action which we already triggered here. Initial state also should be defined in our application, so we don't get any errors here. And this is how it works. I use reducer hook. But here's the question before we go also deep in more details about user. So we need to check why we need it. So because we use useState, it works for most cases. But as our apps or as the app grows, managing state will be a little bit more difficult. And as you know, for example, the logic will be distributed between our component or between several files in our solution, which will make it a little bit more difficult to manage it or to keep track of our updates. So our logic will be distributed across multiple files in our solution. Same also, we have another issue, which is our code also, we need to keep using set value for specific piece of the state. So we will keep using this also, this functions. We need to create more functions to keep track of, or to update our state here. Also, if you want as also the app grows more, so I think it will be more difficult to maintain the state or to manage it here. So I will go to the next slide. So this slide explains how UseReducer works here. So as you see, let's take, for example, we have a form here. When I click on the add item, the dispatch function will be triggered. This trigger will also pass the function, as you see on the right side, add an item, and we pass the current state, and this reducer will modify the state, will create a new copy of the state and do these changes which we requested and return a new state. So it's a mutable change, it's not mutable. Yeah, and we create a new copy of the state, and this this update will force the app also to be re-rendered on the UI. So I can show an example now. So as you see here, we have a counter, a very simple example for the counter. As you see, we have used state hook. So this is the issue here, which I mentioned here. So to update the count or to check if it's even or not, we need to send two requests, as you see here. So these are two calls, and it could be also in other solutions. We have more requests, we have more dependencies here. So which will require us to also create more set states. So this is, it's not perfect if we have a big application here. And here where useReducer comes here. So for example, as you see now, we have a function for each operation for increment, decrement, receipt, or double. So it's a bit we are repeating the same code which we are writing here. With UseReducer Hook, this is another solution. As you see, we have this function here, or this line of code here. First, we need to import the UseReducer Hook, as you see here, And then we have the use reducer here. This is the method we call our reducer. So we could have one reducer or multiple reducers, for example, for a form, for SharePoint list, or whatever. But we have here the counter reducer, for example, here. And this function is already defined in a separate file. So we have the logic in separate file, and we have our UI component here. So as you see in this file, we have our counter reducer, which we imported in the other file. First, as I said, so we define the state, as you see here, and then we define, so this is the interface for the state, and then we define our state, and then the actions which we need. So for example, in this case, we need to increment, decrement, reset, and double here. And here below, we have the counter reducer. We have a switch here, and then we can define which action we need. So when we, in this file here, as you see, I click on the button here, dispatch increment. This means this function, this action will be triggered. We will make a copy of the state of the current state by using the spread operator here. And then we modify the state and we return a new copy of the state here. So as you see, so here, and this will force also the app to be rendered, as you see here. So every time I click here, an action will be triggered from this function which we have it here. Yeah. This is how it works. And also, as you see here, we can also do some manipulation for the state. As you see, this is also outcommented here for this demo. Yeah, as you see, we can set, for example, max count or min count here, and we can do some operation before also updating our state. We want to check, is it 0 or not? If it's now 0, I want to decrement, so I can block it. So I can write something like this, like this line here. As you see next. So if it's 0, you cannot update it. If it's more than 0, then you can decrement it then. So this is how it works. Now we come to the interesting part, maybe. This is how to use it in SPFx solution. This sample also on the PMP sample repository. As you see here, we have our solution. And here we have, I think, it's a little bit small, yeah? I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So as you see here, we have our solution. We have already defined list reducer here, as you see, and we have our initial state. So here, whenever I want to call these items, I just trigger dispatch fetch items, and then this I can start. So for example, will make the app to be in loading state. When I get the response, I can pass the item as a payload, or when I get an error, I can pass the error as a payload. So as you see here, we have this folder, which includes everything we need for the reducer. We have the action types. So I defined here all the actions which we need: fetch, start, success, and error. And below here, we have also the interface for the state, and also the interface for the actions. As you see, we have start, here we have payload, and here also the error, we have payload here. And this is how it looks here. Whenever we trigger dispatch function, so this will we will pass the state, we'll pass the action, and then we can also do or modify our state here. So as you see, when I click fetch start, this will make the loading property true. And then, this is, for example, this one was a fetch success. We will make it false, and we will pass the payload. We can show also the items which we are not. So just to summarize, the most benefit here. So as you see, we can update multiple properties in the same time in one request. So unlike with a use state, so you need to use set value multiple of times, and sometimes it doesn't work perfectly here. Yeah. So that's why when we are using UseReducer here, we can update our state. If we have multiple properties, we can update these multiple properties in one request, which is make it more efficient. And also the other advantage, it is we centralized our state outside of our application. So it's easier to read, easier to extend. So in my opinion, it's more efficient. So it's this one. It's not for small applications. So it's not that this is right or wrong. Both of them are. We need both of them. So use state for small solutions. Use reducer for more complex solutions. Yeah.